You want to get better? You want to self-improve? Stop looking for a shortcut.
So many people that have the ability and just refuse to get off that couch.
The greatest trick the devil ever played was making you believe that the pessimists are the good guys. Basically, just don't wait. Like, life is happening right now.
You have to have an emotional investment in what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, failure is pretty much guaranteed. Success is not guaranteed by any means, but failure is much more likely.
Go find your alarm clock, and find your discipline, and find your guts and your passion and your drive, and find your will. And then you will find your freedom.
Delayed gratification in the extreme just results in no gratification. It's not about waiting for personal growth to be over. It's not about waiting for something. Life is not happening in future. It is happening right now.
Know what your intent as the commander of your life. Know what your intent is, and then fight with everything you've got to win.
Now, there's no hack, bro. There's no hack. Yeah, you may this and that and saunas and all this shit that yeah, it's great. There is no life hack. To grow that thing, how do you grow it? Do it, and do it, and do it, and do it. That's the hack. The hack is gonna suck. And that's what I realized.
You can actually achieve a lot of success in life by avoiding failure. Like, most success in life actually is avoiding failure. Yes, you need to be able to be competent, but first you need to not get out of the race. That's the 1 second decision, right? You need to not lose before you can win.
Right.
And the reverse role model is you weaving your way through a selection of people that you don't want to be like. And I think that you can get an awfully long way just by doing that.
Toughness is not about how many push-ups you can do or what you can bench press or how far you can run. Toughness is in the mind. And your body can be the most perfect, the most conditioned specimen. But if you don't have a tough mind, if you don't have a toughness of the mind, if you don't have a tough will, you're not tough. It's all pointless.
That you can do what you want to do because the world is yours. You can do whatever you want. The world is yours.
Whenever I get to a low point where I think, why do I even bother? I just remind myself, this is where most people stop, and this is why they don't win. And this relates to another one, which is a reminder for the gladiators in the arena who feel beat up and scarred with no hope in sight. Building a business is hard. Hard feels This is what hard feels like. And this is why most people can't do it, but you can.
Said, all of man's problems arise because he cannot sit by himself in a room for 30 minutes alone. And it's very true. I always needed to be stimulated. And when the iPhone came along, boredom was dead. I would never be bored again. Even if I'm standing in line, I'm on my iPhone, and I thought it was great.
Basically, you can't skip steps. You have to put one foot in front of the other. Things take time. There are no shortcuts. And but you want to do those steps with passion and ferocity.
They don't have passion. They lack passion, drive, determination because you haven't spent time with yourself. Your mind will tell you what is next. But you haven't spent the time to go, all right, let me just figure this out.
Like, you don't have to be the best, but you have to be dangerous, right? You have to learn just enough to be dangerous to build an idea, concept it, and show it to the world. And then it turns out there are lots of other people, including all 170 employees that work at Instagram, who are much better at doing all that stuff than I am.
Yeah. Like, I just wanted not to be poor, but I didn't know how to be rich.
Interesting.
And I didn't understand that mindset. And it, as corny as it sounds, it always starts with you. It always starts with discipline. It starts with habit. It starts with learning.
But be tough. You better have a part about you that's tough, a part about you that can break down situations and get better. And break down situations very quickly within some trauma in your life, some devastation in your life, because it's gonna come. The devastation, the trauma is gonna come, and you can't allow that to become a Jersey barrier. It can't be a Jersey barrier. It has to be something that you can maneuver through very quickly and move forward. That takes a lot of toughness.
And the vagaries of fate, it's like it doesn't underestimate it. It's not the point. The point is your best strategic position is, how am I insufficient and how can I rectify that? That's what you've got. And the thing is, you are insufficient and you could rectify it. Both of those are within your grasp if you aim low enough.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, you don't really love it, you're gonna get...
I like to win. I love to win. And people that love to win, they're gonna be successful. But it's okay losing sometimes. You might not win all the time, because you always say tomorrow. I lost today, but tomorrow I'm gonna make up for it. So be prepared to take losses in business.
Imagine life as a game. What are you solving for? What are your metrics? And I think when you really kind of analyze it and went, well, if this was going to be a scoreboard at the end and you're only really competing with yourself, there's nothing in being better than anyone else. There's only honor in being better than yourself last year. So the idea of going, well, what would be the important things?
But I'm doing it as an aid to humility. It's like, well, I don't know how to start improving my life. Someone might say that. And I would say, well, you're not aiming low enough. There's something you could do that you are regarding as trivial, that you could do, that you would do, that would result in an actual improvement. But it's not a big enough improvement for you, so you won't lower yourself enough to take the opportunity.
It's about gaining control of your mind, putting things back in the proper perspective, and then saying, I really do want to be here, and I'm going to have a bunch of these 1 seconds through this 130-hour journey. And I have to learn to control these, because if I fail one of these 1 seconds, I will not be a SEAL. I will not be a doctor. I will not be a lawyer. I will not be whatever the fuck it is.
Everything moves towards entropy. Life is chaos. It takes an inhuman amount of effort to bring order to that, to find success in the middle of that. So while I cannot promise you success, I can promise you failure. I cannot promise you happiness, but I can promise sadness. So if you know those are the guarantees and the other things are the things that you have to strive for, you better be striving in service of something that in and of itself is interesting to you.
Your brain is like a supercomputer and your self-talk is a program it will run. So if you tell yourself you're not good at remembering names, you will not remember the name of the next person you meet because you program your supercomputer not to. And I always tell people that, and now I don't think the brain is like a supercomputer. I think it's a weak metaphor for what it is, because this is like a living computer that can do so much more and has different capabilities. But I would say that your self-talk is important.
And these are all reminders to myself, is you want to be rich and anonymous, not poor and famous.
You fall in love with your own intelligence, boy, and you're going to be in some sort of trouble, because I don't care how smart you are, you're not smart enough, and that is not the only virtue.
The magic you are looking for is in the work you're avoiding. Dude, the magic you are looking for is in the work you're avoiding.
We think it's further away than it is. And because we think it's so far away, Jay, we create patterns and behaviors in our life that perpetually keep it there.
You've got your own path. Self-sufficient, self-supported, self-dominating. That's the person that leaves a mark in society.
The thing that you fear has already come to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been part of the architect that's put it together as well.
Emotionally, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, I can't promise you that. I can promise you I'm not going to drink for one more day at a time.
Wow.
And he lasted the rest of his life, stacking those one more days up.
If only you wish to be happy, this could be easily accomplished, but we wish to be happier than other people, and this is always difficult, for we believe others are happier than they are.
See, what you resist will persist. What you resist will persist. So one of the most important things is to begin to embrace your fear.
If what's driving you to ascend that hierarchy is because it's gonna make you better and the people around you better, that's good. If you're doing it for your own ego though, that's a problem.
Things may happen to you and things may happen around you, but the most important things are the things that happen in you. And you have to stand up inside yourself and deal with it and handle it.
And when you invest in yourself, and invest in your future. do it and get uncomfortable and know that that's normal, that's natural, that's the unknown, okay.
It's so easy to be great nowadays, my friend, because most people are weak. Most people don't want to go to that extra mile. Most people don't want to find that extra because it sucks. It's miserable. It's lonely.
If you look at the greats in anything that, in any walk of life, the greats do things when they don't always want to. And that's the separation. For me, that's what I've found.
Making a decision from fear often begets more fear because you're limiting the possibility that's there. You're saying, oh, it's going to be this way or this way in your mind, and so you're creating that reality.
Guilt is just society's voice speaking in your head, socially programmed so you'll be a good little monkey and do things that are good for the tribe. But I think the best outcomes come when you think it through for yourself and decide for yourself. And I don't think people spend enough time deciding.
And if you want to feel a great regret in life, it's making a decision against your instinct and then it failing. Making a decision in line with your instinct and then it failing is much less of a place to fall from than making a decision against your instincts and then it fails.
But I have to be in it to win it. You know, I have to see the problem as a possible solution, not as a problem. That every problem isn't a problem, but a situation that I can manipulate with hard work, ingenuity, thought process to create a better end state. And that's what I'm doing. So
repeat after me, please. I must see in my mind's eye, see myself confronting my fears, handling my fears. I'm more than able.
When you're on your way up, everyone roots for you because you remind them of their dreams. When you're at the top, everyone tears you down because you remind them that they gave up on them. And you have one, which is, for anyone who needs a reminder, no one is going to hate on you for doing worse than them.
Understand that change really requires becoming uncomfortable to a certain degree, and that's normal, that you're leaving the known and you're stepping into the unknown. Then it begs the question, what thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? Because your attention on those thoughts begins to reorganize circuitry, remold the brain.
The only true test of intelligence is if you get what you want out of life. And there are two parts to that. One is getting what you want, so you know how to get it. And the second is wanting the right things, knowing what to want in the first place. I could want to be a 6'8" basketball player, and I'm not going to get that. So it's wanting the wrong thing.
To get out of sadness, and I've been sad many times in my life, the thing that's helped me get out of it is realizing that a perceived lack of options is what causes sadness, not a lack of options, a perceived lack of options, which means that all I have to do is figure out what I need to do, and figuring it out becomes the option.
Life needs to be lived forward, but only makes sense in reverse. And when you're staring into a bunch of unknown, there's no romance. There is no glory medley, reel that he's got some cool, Jamie Foxx motivational quote over the top of it telling you about where you're gonna go.
I want to fail at something that I believe in. Because failing at something that I didn't believe in will suck more than any pain in my life. So if I do something and I believed in it, and it was in line with my instincts, and I fail, you go, cool, right? Okay, I've learned something here. But God, can you imagine the regret of acting out against your instincts and then it going badly?
But I'm saying that just like fitness can be a choice, health can be a choice, nutrition can be a choice, working hard and making money can be a choice, happiness is also a choice. If you're so smart, how come you aren't happy? How come you haven't figured that out? That's my challenge to all the people who think they're so smart and so capable. If you're so smart and capable, why can't you change this?
Let me say something to you real clear. If you spend the rest of your life worrying about what everybody thinks about you, someday you'll never have to worry about it again, because when you die, nobody will remember you were here. Stop worrying about what these people think about you. Live your dream. Worry about the people you love. And by the way, I know some of the very people you're doing it for are the ones not supporting you. They're the ones telling you to quit. They're the ones giving you heck. Just do it anyway.
You have to make adjustments to achieve your goals. And if you're not really happy about where you're at, well, guess what? This change is needed, especially millennials. Some of the things that you're going to do in life is not tied to a check. Don't guide your life by how much you're going to be paid, but how much you get out of it, the opportunity. That's really key. Not how much you're getting paid, but how much you're going to get out of the opportunity.
If you find a mountain and you start climbing, and you spend your whole life climbing it, and you get, say, 2/3 of the way, and then you see the peak is like way up there, but you're 2/3 of the way up, you're still really high up. But now to go the rest of the way, you're gonna have to go back down to the bottom and look for another path. Nobody wants to do that. People don't want to start over.
Yeah.
And it's the nature of later in life that you just don't have the time. So it's very painful to go back down and look for a new path, but that may be the best thing to do.
I would say believe in your direction and do it. Spend less time talking about it and more time trying to like perfect it and put it out there. And you know, if there's fire, the kids will sniff it out. They always do. And they'll turn you all the way up if they feel like that's where you belong. That's all. So all you have to do is be true to your craft, and they see that. When they see you going inward and being proud of who you are and what you are, and you know, there's some good intention, they're gonna support you.
Every time you lose at something, you're one step closer to winning the next time. The difference between successful people and not successful people, let's call it that way, are people give up. People wake up every morning, they have doubt, they have fear. They lose in a Ferrari race or they lose in a race, and then they just give up. The hardest thing in life to learn is to lose. Winning's easy. You win, you're happy, you get a high five, your friends are happy. It's your ability to take a loss, get up the next day, dust yourself off, and keep going.
On the other side of temporary pain, you meet your other self. If you can survive the temporary, you'll meet another version of you. I'm up here not because I'm super impressive, because I'm not. In fact, the security guards both told me, they're like, dude, I thought you were a lot bigger based on looking at your pictures. I'm like, thank you, both of you. Nice thing to tell me. Right? Which I was bigger, it's just COVID and I like to make excuses. So, if you can survive the temporary, you'll meet another version of yourself.
The first things someone will be asked when they enter the kind of ecosystem of recovery is, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do different? How willing are you? Are you willing to make this your number one priority? And a lot of people will put words to that, but only time will tell whether those words are followed up by the action that demonstrates the level of willingness that is required to actualize anything of meaning in this world.
But it's the difference between being stopped by fear. It's the difference between having a fear and the fear having you. So what do? One, acknowledge it. And knowing that it's okay. Don't condemn yourself for being afraid. It's perfectly fine to have some fears. You acknowledge your fears, you embrace those fears, and then you move on. You act on whatever it is that you fear.
You aren't necessarily the best judge of what you need. And it's easy to be deluded in what you want. And that's the sort of delusions that people chase if they chase power. If you decide instead that you're going to just say what you believe to be true, you have to let go of the consequences. And you might think, well, I don't want to let go of the consequences because I want to control what's going on. But what you miss then is adventure, because if you don't control what's going on, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. And maybe that's exciting. And actually, there's no doubt about it.
I am okay being a beacon of relentless hard work. I'm okay being the guy who says, cure mental health. I'm okay with it. Because I've given it a lot of thought, and I think that the other side is wildly overrepresented. And I'm willing to sit on the logical extreme because I think it will help more people. And there are more people that I have met in my life who are dissatisfied by their live it up 20s than dissatisfied by their work it up 20s.
And I had to kind of function into the reality that the pressure was really coming from myself rather than externally, and that it's a good pressure. It's a pressure to be better and to become the best version of myself, and it's something that if I choose to use it properly, it's going to push me to be a better version of myself, to grow mentally, physically, in my relationships, however I want it to let me grow, if I choose to take control of the aspects I have control over. So in essence, the more pressure you have on you, and if you take it as a privilege, it's a choice. Put your perception as a privilege rather than a burden, and by taking the power back in that choice, pushes you in a direction of being better rather than holding you back.
Everyone usually only shows the world the best of themselves. This means that we see our own misery and our failings and foibles and vacillation from a front row seat while we watch the highlight reel of everyone else. And this makes us think that other people are doing better than they really are. And when we feel the delta between where we are and where we imagine they are, it hurts, right? There is no such thing as objective wealth. Everything is relative, and most relative to those around you.
And look, I'll be the first one to tell you, there were a lot of days where I did not want to get out of bed. And I guarantee you, if I ask the question here, if everybody is excited to get out of bed every single day, if I saw a hand, I'm going to blatantly call you a liar. Because we all know that is far from the truth. But if you have those little small goals, those little small things that get you excited when you don't want to, it's going to make it even better and even easier at the end when you're getting ready for a presentation or the end of the year or this or that, whatever event you're leading up to. It's going to make it so much easier.
You know, the fact that life is short and can be brutal can terrify you into hiding and avoiding, but it can also, you can flip that on its head and understand that since you're all in anyways, you might as well take the risks that are adventurous. And that's a very good thing to understand. And what is also useful to understand in that manner is that there isn't anything more adventurous than the truth.
Because social media is making celebrities of all of us, and celebrities are the most miserable people in the world, right? Because they have this strong self-image that gets built up. It gets built up by compliments. Every time somebody pays you or me a compliment, and we're like, oh, well, thank you, right? Then that builds up an image of who we are. And then one idiot comes along, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100, and they can easily tear it down. Because it doesn't take many insults to cancel out a lot of compliments. And now you're carrying around this big, weighty self-image, and it's just very easy to be attacked. And because you're famous or you're well-known, people want to attack you. So being a celebrity is no good. It's actually a problem.
I had to stop giving a f about people. That was the biggest thing. I had to stop caring what people thought about me. I realized that everybody's f. That's the one thing I realized. I walked around and I put these people on a pedestal. Everybody was better than me. So I can't tell you anything about me because you're going to judge me and I'm going to feel even worse than what I am. What I realized, once I calmed my mind down and sat back and looked at how jacked up this world is, once you realize that you are not alone, everybody that's talking to you about how jacked up you are, only thing they've done better than you is they've hidden their f***ed up world better than you have.
Desire to me is a contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. Okay, and I keep that in front of mind. So when I'm unhappy about something, I look for what is the underlying desire that I have that's not being fulfilled. It's okay to have desires. You're a biological creature. You're put on this earth. You have to do something. You have to have desires. You have a mission. But don't have too many. Don't pick them up unconsciously. Don't pick them up randomly. Don't have thousands of them. My coffee's too cold. Doesn't taste quite right. I'm not sitting perfectly. Oh, I wish it were warmer. Oh, my dog, pooped in the lawn. I didn't like that. Whatever it is. Pick your one overwhelming desire, and it's okay to suffer over that one. But on all the others, you want to let them go so you can be calm and peaceful and relaxed.
The balance of success, the balance of life, to see adversity, problems and such, as some things that complement the end goal, not something that's going to deter it or shut it down. Because we're always going to have problems. We're always going to have situations. We're always going to have things that are unforeseen. Our opportunity is to see them either as a negative or positive. Because these negative opportunities that have been, slapping me in the face like Murphy's Law almost every day, there's 3 or 4 of them are coming up that I didn't think were going to come, are just really blessings in disguise that if I really absorb it the right way, there's a pathway to a betterment of it.
If there's one unavoidable truth in this world, it's that there is no substitute for putting in the work. There is no shortcut or growth hack or magic pill that can get you around the hard work of doing your job well, of winning something you care about, or of making your dreams come true. People have tried to cut corners and skip steps in this process for as long as hard work has been hard. Eventually, those people either fall behind or get left in the dust, because working your ass off is the only thing that works 100% of the time for 100% of the things worth achieving. Work works. That is the bottom line.
The world isn't driven by greed, it's driven by envy. Our lives are objectively the best humanity has ever had, yet complaining and dissatisfaction is as high as ever. And also, because everyone usually only shows the world the best of themselves, this means that we see our own misery and our failings and foibles and vacillation from a front row seat while we watch the highlight reel of everyone else. And this makes us think that other people are doing better than they really are. And when we feel the delta between where we are and where we imagine they are, it hurts, right? There is no such thing as objective wealth. Everything is relative, and most relative to those around you.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. The first self-esteem is built the first 7 or 8 years of life. Who are you around the first 7 or 8 years of life? Mom, maybe dad, older brother, uncle, a grandmother, right? What the hell do they know about building self-esteem? They don't know anything. And now, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Who do you go hang with? Who do you chill with? And he and I, we disagree about a few things, but Bill Gates doesn't hang. Steve Jobs, who I knew, didn't chill. Warren Buffett doesn't hang. Elon Musk doesn't hang. And I go down the list of people that don't hang.
Man, you look tired, you look sad, you look this, you look that. Look, I go through life just like you do, okay? I have battles just like you do. I stand between my family and the world, just like you do. And I take the beatings so they don't have to, just like you do. Sometimes I have to stand between the church and my family, so they don't have to. And I take those beatings so that my family don't have to. Sometimes I stand between myself and my family, because I'm just a human too. And sometimes we as men, we have to take the reality of what we are, and we have to take it and we have to crush it down and we have to put it inside and we have to shove it down. Why? Because we have to protect our family from us.
Just the sport of this is what I do every day. And people say, why do you do this? And I just said, because what would I do? I mean, if I can't come to the office and solve problems and fight with everybody and conquest something, conquer, then what am I gonna do with myself? I'm gonna sit home and die? I mean, that's what I enjoy doing. This is my basketball. This is my game that I play. This is my pickup Monopoly game, whatever you wanna call it, okay? I love going to the office and leading people and trying to conquer something. That's what I enjoy doing. It's sport.
If you weren't afraid of what people thought of you, said about you, whispered about you, what could you accomplish? A lot more than you've accomplished today. A lot more. Why do we care what people think? Why do we care what people say? And more importantly, why do we care what people whisper? Because we have no self-worth. We have next to little self-esteem, and we have no self-confidence. And how do we get that way? Yes, mommy and daddy. Life expands and contracts with courage. When was the last courage type thing that you did in your lifetime?
It doesn't matter how far you might rise. At some point, you are bound to stumble, because if you're constantly doing what we do, raising the bar, if you are constantly pushing yourself higher, higher, the law of averages, not to mention the myth of Icarus, predicts that you will at some point fall. And when you do, I want you to know this, remember this, there is no such thing as failure. Failure is just life trying to move us in another direction. Now, when you're down there in a hole, it looks like failure. So this past year, I had to spoon feed those words to myself.
Faced with all those issues and all those problems, and they all hit you at the same time. But let me tell you, that doesn't mean give up. In fact, it means the opposite. It means it's time for you to fight harder, to dig in. It means it's time for you to go on the war path. And that starts with one of the fundamental laws of combat leadership: prioritize and execute. What's the biggest problem? Well, what's causing the most stress? Family? Okay, sit them down. Explain where you are at. Be blunt, be upfront, and then give them the simple plan of how you're gonna get things back on track.
As psychological warfare. And that's where I started learning that life is one big psychological warfare that you play on yourself. You play on yourself, man. The most important conversation I ever had is with myself. And the shit I was telling myself was so f***ed up, it was so wrong, it was so misguided. And other people start to write that dialogue for you also. And it starts to be what you say to yourself every single day. And I started creating a whole nother warfare. A whole nother battle started becoming. I was like, oh, hang on a second, Goggins. You have these tools. You have these tools. Your life was basically the perfect grounds for training for where you need to go in your life. All the beatings, all the bullying, all the, you going through learning disabilities, all the struggles. It was the absolute perfect training ground for you to go to where you need to go. And that's how I started looking at my life.
Being a man and being masculine. And so even mastering things and even being competitive is not bad. You build a business that kicks ass, that does really well, that gives people certain things that they needed or they wanted. So it's just a matter of how you channel that energy and how you control it. And what the virtues are is self-control, not feeling like you have to put people down in order to raise yourself up, feeling confident, not having to boast. A terrible toxic masculinity quality is boasting and saying, look how much money I have, look how much women I've slept with, look at all this other thing. You're just talking. It's just a lot of hot air. That's not strong.
The top, it ain't lonely at the top, bro. It's lonely in the middle, all right? And here's the thing. When you first start out with trying to achieve something that's not the norm of what everybody else is trying to achieve, they think you're weird. They think there's something wrong with you, okay? And then you set out actually doing the work. And you set out getting some results. What happens is Steve and Tony and Mary Jane from your whole neighborhood, they look at you and they say, oh, this dude's weird. What's wrong with him? He's too good for us now. You're right, I'm too good for you. Because I'm not gonna sit around and waste my life, okay? And so as you progress out of that friend zone, which by the way, those people are never your friends. They're just people you hung out with, all right? You get into this lonely place. And that lonely place is called no man's land. And that's the time that you spend between what you thought were your friends and then finding a new group of people who are aligned with the actions that you're taking and the goals that you have.
And nobody can destroy you if you won't let them. All right? Don't let them. You're a man. You are a man. Stand up and be a man. Make the hard decisions. Make the sacrifices. Make the unpopular decisions. And become comfortable in your own skin. And if you are not a person that you are comfortable being alone with, that is the one person in this universe that you have full power, full right, and full responsibility to change.
When it comes to your success and your productivity, the reason you aren't getting shit done is not because you lack the time. It's not because you lack the talent. It's not because you lack the knowledge or the experience. The reality is, guys, it's always a mindset issue. You are believing the lies that keep you from being productive, okay? And there's a lot of lies. But let me tell you the big three, okay? Lie number one, I don't have the resources to get this done. What the f do you mean? Nobody has the resources to get anything great done. This is the mindset of the vast majority of people. The vast majority of people.
When you're in life-threatening situations, it makes you a little more conscious of death. You know, and the more that you are aware of your fate, the higher the probability you have a chance to live. So you're a little more free. Like I go into what Robert kind of identified as the core of my power as me being in business situations and being the person with the least fear at the table. And that's because I weigh these things up against my biggest losses in my life. So, like, the loss of my mom is the biggest thing that I've experienced.
I can't wait, man. It's not all I'm never gonna get to that where everything's okay, where everything looks a certain way. And in the meantime, I'm burning the best time I do have available. I'm burning that candle up. I'm burning this candle down, and I'm saying as soon as it gets bright enough or warm enough in here, I'm gonna show up. But the candle's getting smaller. It's a trap.
It won't be easy. It will be hard because life is hard. That's what life is. And these challenges that you face, they're gonna do their best to take you down. Do not let them. Stand up, dig in. Line up those problems and confront them, face them, fight them. Do not let them bring you down.
No one is going to beat you at being you. One of the things I like to say is find what feels like play to you, but looks like work to others. So it looks like work to them, but to you it feels like play. It's not work. So you're going to outcompete them because you're doing it effortlessly. You're doing it for fun. They're doing it for work. They're doing it for some byproduct. To you, it's art, it's beauty, it's joy, it's flow, it's fulfilling. You must enjoy podcasting. If you didn't, you wouldn't be good at it. You would have 900 episodes either. Yeah. Right. If you decided that the right way to get ahead in life was to go write books, nobody would have heard of you.
You can't be comfortable with yourself if you don't know who yourself is. And you can't know who yourself is if you don't stop looking at how everybody around you is and start looking at what makes you comfortable and what makes you uniquely you. There's roughly close to, I guess, about 8 billion people on this planet, but there's only one you. Would you stand out in the crowd? Not in a bad way. What makes you you doesn't need to be something that's immoral or obnoxious or uncomfortable, but just uniquely you.
Front-end pleasure almost always has back-end pain, but front-end pain almost always has back-end pleasure. Okay? Because the thing is that, right? You want to go to the party, you want to go to the club, you want to drink, right? That's front-end fun. Woo, yeah. Out here partying and doing all this other shit, especially when you didn't earn it, right? It's fun at first, then you got to wake up the next day with a hangover. Then you got to realize, you got to deal with an annoying girl that you didn't even really like that. You feel like shit. You spend a bunch of money. Upfront pleasure almost always leads to back-end pain. But on the other hand, front-end pain, going to the gym, being disciplined, doing things that you don't want to do when you don't feel like it, but doing it regardless of how you feel, that almost always leads.
When you're around happy, inspirational people that are successful, it makes you feel better and you get inspired. And if you act on that inspiration, your life will be more fulfilled. And it's not just inspirational in terms of financial success, but in terms of doing difficult things, whether it's running 100 miles, it doesn't pay you a goddamn thing other than the wealth of the knowledge that you can push yourself to such an extreme. Or anything else, whether it's someone who becomes really good at playing chess or someone who's really good at martial arts or whatever it is. There's a great feeling in overcoming these difficult things, because life is never this just constant state of, I'm at a 9 all day, and when I'm with my wife, I hit 10. Yay! And I stay like that. That's not real. It's purity in physical pursuits, right? Because it doesn't matter what your social status is. It doesn't matter how people perceive you. When it comes down to how long can you stay in that pool, when it comes down to how far can you run, when it comes down to how much can you push yourself past the part where you want to quit?
Right.
How far can you keep going? There's a purity in that it dissolves social order, all the what people think about you goes out the window. It's who are you right now?
That's right.
Who are you right now?
You might think that by worrying and obsessing and ruminating and thought looping and fearing and gripping your way through this problem, that it reduces down the likelihood of it happening somehow, that it brings to bear more control, that it almost like impacts reality in some sort of a way. It makes no difference. Again, what are we focused on? We're focused on outcomes, not on inputs. And the people that have that bias for action, they end up just finding out whether or not this thing is going to work way quicker.
Don't take today off. Not today. Wait until tomorrow. Don't give in to the immediate gratification that is whispering in your ear. Shut that down. Do not listen to that little voice. Instead, go through the motions. Lift the weights, sprint the hill, work on the project, get out of bed.
I found out on my own pretty much, is that through discipline, through self-discipline, through repetition, through tons of repetition of the same thing that you don't want to do, and that's the key thing. Through repetition of things you don't want to do, you develop mental, like an armor for your mind. You start to armor your mind, because your mind's like, okay, we suffer every day. It's what we do. We do stuff that sucks every day, so then when the suck stuff comes, you're ready for it. And that's how it started coming up. I just started being very uncomfortable. Now it's like just a way of life.
What happens is the more you have a specific plan like this where you're willing to do the ugly and run the numbers, your fear level diminishes to an extent. The notion that it's going to go away completely isn't true.
Yeah.
But there's something about doing the ugly thing that reduces fear. It not only increases your chance of winning, but you're like, the possibility mathematically of me losing now is rather small.
Yeah.
But when you're not doing these things, the reason you're living with so much fear is, the possibility of you not winning is rather great.
Yeah.
And so you're living with a fear that's self-imposed, self-induced, and your fault because you're not willing to do the ugly.
World really only knows the actions that you take. It doesn't know about the internal state until that then shows up in the way that you actually perform. So, yeah, some things to keep in mind. Number one, don't grip life so tightly. Being too serious creates a kind of brittle fragility, which a playful attitude insulates you against. Your goal is dynamic persistence over the long term. And taking things seriously gives you a huge advantage in bursts, but chronic seriousness makes you rigid and at risk of blow up.
I just can't let it do it anymore. I'm gonna have setbacks, I know. But if I'm feeling bad, that doesn't mean I'm doing bad. That doesn't mean I am bad. That doesn't mean that I can't still take some action. Because nothing changes if nothing changes, man. We'll sit around forever wondering, well, what if I was a dog catcher? Would I be the best? What if I was what if I worked on a avalanche?
Just about being aggressive. It's not just about picking fights and going out in the world and kind of hurting people or pushing them around. That's actually a sign of weakness. True inner strength is something that's quiet and that's calm, right? And so you don't feel the need to push people, to hurt people, to assert yourself, to show off, to show how people who show off how wealthy they are, how many fancy cars they have, are actually weak. They're actually insecure. They're actually incredibly immature.
I think the things you go through make you who you are. So I don't regret those things. I don't regret them because I don't think I'd be who I am today if I wasn't exposed to those situations. If you ask me, those are unfortunate situations that I've had to experience. And if I had a choice, I would have definitely went in a different direction. I might have wanted to go to school for business instead of having to go through this portion of my life. But,
tough lesson, yeah.
Yeah, but under those circumstances, when you're in an environment where you meet aggression with aggression, or you're deemed weak, and the weak becomes the prey.
Don't be so worried about winning that you forget what winning is supposed to feel like. Is your presiding feeling when things go well one of happiness and satisfaction, or one of relief? Is it joy, or simply the abatement of fear? And after a while of winning, you realize that how you win is more important than if you win. How you feel during the event is more important than the outcome of the event. How the people who read your work are impacted is more important than how many people are impacted. You can't be so terrified of failing that even the act of winning is made miserable.
Create as many opportunities to find a mate. Now, what do I mean by that? Get out as often as possible, accept invitations, force yourself to go out, force yourself to meet strangers, develop the skills. Start, whenever you're waiting in line at Starbucks, talk to the person in front of you, talk to the person behind you. Develop the skills to begin opening and establishing relationships. And it's uncomfortable, and it means getting used to rejection. And by the way, the only thing I can guarantee you in life is rejection. And the only thing I can guarantee a lot of, if you want to be successful, is a ton of rejection. Being an entrepreneur just means you're willing to take out a big spoon and eat all the time.
Same analogy. Disappointment to me, to win, you got to lose. To be successful, you got to have something that's not successful. To be happy, you got to have disappointment. So I think all of those things have evolved and happened to make me who I am and understand the benefits and the privileges I have for being who I am, and not to wear it on my sleeve, be very humble about it. That's one thing my parents taught me very well is, don't wear your reputation, don't wear your accolades, don't wear your personality on your sleeve. Let it happen, let it be you. It is who you are. Don't hide from it, but don't wear it and rub it in people's face.
5 years ago, I think, I'm astounded by how many people want to be spectacular in life but also want to be normal. By being normal, you are, by definition, aiming for average. Normal people get normal results. Exceptional people get exceptional results. You literally can't do what everyone else does and expect to not get what everyone else has got. By doing what everyone else does, you guarantee average results.
Comparing yourself to someone or even to a future self, and the gap is so painful that it paralyzes you, then you've created a dragon that you don't have the tools to master. And so what you have to do is you have to scale the dragon down to size. And you want to scale the dragon down to size until it's a size that you are willing to move toward, however small that is.
For a person like myself who live in the spotlight and it's so critical from people all the time in terms of what I do, what I say, where I go, the thing he's always said, take a pause before you make a decision and say, what if? And the purpose for saying what if is that whatever decision you make, always either going to have consequences.
Want to be exceptional, you're going to be different from everyone else. That's what makes you exceptional. You can't fit in and also be exceptional. Both have discomfort. When you fit in, you have internal conflict because you're not being 100% you. When you're exceptional, you have external conflict because everyone sees you as different. Pick one. When your friends start to say, you've changed, remember it's because they don't know how to say, you've grown.
Learn from every mistake, because every experience, encounter, and particularly your mistakes are there to teach you and force you into being more of who you are. And then figure out what is the next right move. And the key to life is to develop an internal, moral, emotional GPS that can tell you which way to go.
This is great. People who know what they're doing know the rules, and they know what is possible and what is impossible. You do not, and you should not. The rules on what is possible and impossible in the arts were made by people who had not tested the bounds of the possible by going beyond them. And you can. If you don't know it's impossible, it's easier to do. And because nobody's done it before, they haven't made up rules to stop anyone doing that particular thing again.